Fly By Midnight is here.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
Thank you for having us.
I am so great. What's happening?
We just finished touring, and we are back in Los Angeles, and it feels good to be home.
Are you crazy excited that the tour is over?
That's a great question. I was saying for our previous tours, I was pretty burnt out by the end, and I was ready to be in my own bed. For this one, I was a little bit burnt out, and then we played our last show in Los Angeles, and I was ready to go another 100 shows.
You were?
I really, yeah, right.
The last two, yeah. The sold out shows are always amazing. You know what I mean? The fans are crazy. They're singing every word. Definitely keeps you going, but I do like being home too. I think we're studio rats at the end of the day, so being in the studio is kind of where we live.
Yeah, today was our first day back in the studio too, which is exciting.
I have so many questions. Number one, all right, so you're on tour, right?
Yes.
You're about to go on stage. Can you do me a favor for someone that's never been on tour, for someone that's never had the opportunity to be on stage singing? When you're about to go up on stage, you can hear and see the crowd. Describe that feeling at that moment.
Well, funny enough, we have our in-ears turned on. Before we go on stage, we could hear the crowd. So that's like always like an adrenaline boost. And then you feel like first you have to go to the bathroom. Then Slavo does his speech where he says it's all about having a good time. Then you feel a little bit less like you have to go to the bathroom. And then
you just go to the bathroom.
On yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Done. No, honestly, this tour, and I'm being honest. I feel like I had no nerves really coming into shows anymore. It's more, I just want to make sure the people that are supporting us are having the most memorable night of their life. That's more where my nerves come from. Yeah.
And I drink Red Bull vodka before I go on stage, so it's just pretty much smooth sailing. I'm even keel. Yeah. But it is electric when you walk up there and everyone starts screaming. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Best feeling.
Not to act like a Pisces, but I feel like I would be super emotional just because think about it. Think about people's money and think about right now how people don't have any of it and that they are spending their hard-earned dollar to come out and see you out on tour. I don't know why, but I feel like that would take me to that place where I'm like, wow, you guys really like me because you guys are spending your money on me to come out to see a good show. Yeah. Doesn't that make sense?
You bring up a really good point, and honestly, this whole thing's still new for us, like having sold out shows, our first headlining tour, you know, so I've definitely felt that throughout this tour. I also, before we go on stage, I always set my intentions of like I don't want to just sing these songs like it's just another night. These people, these lyrics mean a lot to them, and I want each word, you know, to still mean something when we say them or sing them rather. So.
I think too, we're like extremely appreciative on stage. Every time we get a chance to talk, we're thanking people because we should be thanking them. You know what I mean? It is something where we never take it for granted. The fact that they're spending their hard-earned money to buy merch, to stream our music over every other artist that they possibly could at that time. So every chance we get to let them know, we try to.
And we end the show with, you know, and honestly, we talk to our management all the time. Like, we are able to do another tour now. We know that we are able to do this for a living, and we're able to go back out. And we end the show letting them know, you'll see us again real soon because of you. If no one was there, I don't think we'd be able to say that, you know? So.
How's it feel to be on stage and you're connecting with people's eyes in the audience?
It feels great. There are people out there to this day, even fans of us, that'll just grill you the whole time. I mean, there was someone in San Francisco, and this poor fan was so sweet at the end too. They were like touching our hand, thanking us and everything, but the whole entire show, right in the front, just looking at us like they were not having a good time.
That has to be a mind.
It is. It's hard to get over it, and you're in your head too. The whole time I saw that person, I was like, they're having a good time. They're having a good time. I'm trying to tell myself they're having a good time. Don't think about it. They're having a good time, and everyone around them is having a great time and showing it. That one person though, they mess with you sometimes.
And they especially stand out when everyone's jumping and singing all the words. And I told you a couple of tours ago we were a support act, and I learned something. It was a show in Phoenix. I remember like it was yesterday, and there was one person that I clearly saw that looked like they didn't want to be there. And we met them after, and they were absolutely blown away that they got to meet us, they got to perform, and they've been our biggest fans since 2017. And the entire show, they didn't look like they just wanted to go home.
You know what it is? Well, because I feel like sometimes I am in an, what's the word? How can I say this? Like, I'll listen to someone, but like during an interview, I will sit here like this and will stare at you, but I'm listening to you and I'm processing what you're saying. So I wonder if that's the same thing what's happening with people. Like, they are having a good time, but they're just really living in the moment. And, people just express themselves differently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily about what you guys are doing on stage. It's just how they are. Because if they weren't enjoying themselves, they would have left.
It's
100%.
True. Yeah,
But
true.
I do want to give our fans credit that I feel like halfway through the tour, they've almost started to create a cultural identity where, like, at flyby shows, you are losing your voice. You are screaming. You're also closing your eyes singing. And that's like a new thing for us to like see they're having their own solo moment. And I think, it's when you see one person do that next to you, there's a good chance you're going to join the party. So I think maybe early on in our career, there was a bit more of a quiet audience,
Right, let me tell you, closing your eyes and doing anything, I think, is a little bit more intimate. So the fact that they're at their show, you're singing your songs, and they're singing along with you, and they're closing their eyes as you're singing, you are taking them someplace that's not there at that very moment.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
When you think about it like that.
Yeah, it's true. And we made a joke the first show. This is the first time we ever did like a proper lighting package and a time code. For people that don't know us, basically just means our music synced up with the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a threshold to set it for these venues. Had it at 100% the first show. And Justin always makes a comment, I want you to close your eyes, lose yourself in the moment. We'll just be lost in the night. And then by the end of the night, we got DMs from some of the fans being like, yo, us closing our eyes wasn't because we were losing in the moment. It's because your lights were so freaking bright. And like we're at home trying to process like what is reality because we can't see anything.
Yeah. That was first show flubs. That was, I think, the biggest flub of the tour, right?
Yeah.
So
we got over it.
Sorry,
quick,
Arizona, but the lights were 100%.
It was like a Metallica show. It was like a rock and roll show.
Yeah.
Really?
It was definitely something.
To give you some context, we had it 100%. The rest of the tour was like 50% lower. So it was bad.
So Phoenix got they got blind.
But you know what? They got a special experience.
They did.
They closed their eyes.
Yeah.
Just in a different context.
I mean, listen, they were closing their eyes. Listen, you say it like that. I think they were closing their eyes, trying to get lost in the moment as you guys are up there doing your thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
How did you two meet?
From a studio in New York. Justin and I had met through a session that we've just got set up on, kind of like a blind date, pretty much. I was producing and writing at the time. He had a solo project. This is what, 7 years ago? 7 years ago, yeah. In Staten Island, New York, a little studio at the very bottom of it. And we wrote a song called Brooklyn. It was the first song ever. And we connected as friends. I mean, we really felt like brothers, friends right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very emotional story that happened maybe like a month later where we had everything figured out. Justin had this whole plan to ask me to be in a duo. Basically closed the door on me one day, got on a knee like he was going to propose and was like, hey, man, we're going to do this together, me and you, duo. What do you think? And I was like,
sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Pisces,
Pisces,
You know
and
what
I'm
I'm
a Leo, so I was like,
We're
that sounds fun.
very-
No.
Is that bad?
No.
Get him out of here.
okay.
Get him out of here.
Get out. It's over.
No, but the truth was, I mean, he came in as a producer, and at one point he said something like, "Oh, can I sing a harmony?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't even know if you sing." And he layered his voice on mine, and wow, that sounded.
And then our hands locked.
and then we looked at each other's eyes.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Each other's eyes.
No, but and then I just told him, in very typical fashion, I'm always.
You're probably really persuasive too.
Oh yeah, but in this guy right here, I said to him, "Hey, we're gonna start a duo, and we're gonna do this for the rest of our lives," and he just said, "Oh, okay." Like that's just him as a person. He had no idea what he was agreeing to.
Can I just say, I don't know if this is just a me thing or whatever thing. I need more than an okay. I need you to match my energy.
Yeah.
Like I need you to be like, all right, let's do it. We're in there. We're gonna have a good time. You know what I'm saying?
You guys probably would have been better off as a duo, honestly.
It's never too late.
Just let me
Pisces boys or something.
Let me tell you, I would have gave you all that energy that you were looking for. Like, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need that same energy.
But I think it works so well in our yin and yang.
Correct. You're right.
And it took me. I mean, we always say, and we've grown so much, not only as artists, but we've really grown as best friends and brothers. There's a learning curve to be with each other every day, and like now we are so. I understand him so much as a human, and I like to think vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
That like we rarely like fight at all anymore. Where when we were younger, we had a lot of, I would even say, creative differences. I think personality differences. And,
Yeah, I feel like we understand each other's thresholds. Like we can push it to this point, and like, all right, it's gonna get problematic after that. So let's just kind of
100%.
take a second and.
But no, when he said, yeah, I'm cool, let's do a duo, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, he has no idea what he's signing up for.
Why did you think that?
Because being a producer is very different than being an artist. I think there's a lot, just different expectations and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
and and I just had such a good feeling. Number one, I knew I didn't want to do a solo project. I love collaborating with people, and I just knew it was going to work. I really, really knew that there was something special in our songwriting, mostly at first, that we were just like very vulnerable, but also finding really interesting narratives that I had never found before. So yeah, I just had a gut feeling.
How is it to be vulnerable in a record? I feel like that would be extremely hard.
It's a cool thing with the two of us. Maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, we started writing for other projects and producing for other projects as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's artists out there who are like, to the T, verbatim, this is my life. I'm going to give it all to you. And I want to tell you like the street that I've had my heart broken on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This album that we just put out is kind of us telling the fans that not every song and every story that we tell is personal to us. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've gotten so good at the two of us getting in a room and being like, okay, this is what we want to talk about. And we're going to make this feel so personal, but it's not necessarily like our proper story. And sometimes it does come out that way, but I think it's really cool as songwriters and a producer to be able to come up with this narrative and have people connect to it in their own way. But it's not necessarily something that, we relate to on the most, to the T way.
It's sort of like removed any constraints, right? Because there is a little bit of pressure, which being vulnerable of coming into a room and like, I have to write exactly about my story, that I'm the artist. And I feel like with the new album, Fictional Illustrations, we put fictional in the title because he's married, I'm engaged, we're very, very happy in our lives, but there's some days I want to come into the studio and write a song that is not happy. And maybe I was inspired by a movie. And I feel like we talked about this recently, but I think in the songwriter community that's not discussed enough. Like there's so much hype over like, who do they write that song about? And I think being part of that community, writing for other artists, sometimes you just want to write a song that is not necessarily verbatim from your story. So a lot of this record, I'd say 50% of it is like Slavo and I saying, I really want to write a song about exactly how I'm feeling right now. But other times it's, hey, I want to write a song about someone that's gone through that. And let's be the authors in the room. Let's write a fictional story here.
I tell you, the one thing that I feel like would drive me crazy if I write such a personal song and there's other cast of characters that go along with the song. It's like, oh, crap. How are they going to feel about this song?
Yeah.
Even though you're speaking from your truth, there's still other people involved in said song.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would drive me crazy as a songwriter / singer to deal with.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
No, it's true. That's sort of why we like I said, I feel like we removed those sort of pressures for us this time. And it's also cool because fans don't know what is exactly verbatim real. There are a few lyrics that come to mind that are specifically about a person. I know they're on the record. And then there's some that are so specific sounding but are about no one. And
yeah, we always like to joke. On a lot of the VIP meet and greets on this tour, they would talk about a certain song that they loved and that they related so much to. And they would ask us, what the story behind it was. And a song called Nothing New that's on this record was literally a sweatshirt that I had that we just decided, the session was moving so quick that day. We're like, we need a title. And we're like, that's going to be it. Created a narrative on it. And I like to think that it doesn't like ruin the magic for them. You know what I mean? It's just like a cool story that goes with it. But so many times that's kind of how it happens for us. It's just like a little title and then we just figure it out later.
And then to add to that, then there's certain songs that people connect to that you hear it and you're like, wow, that actually was like a really real song. And a couple that come to mind is like Infinitely Falling on the new record. Was very much us in the moment. This is how we feel. Falling in love is terrifying. And people are like, wow, I connect with that right now. I'm like, oh, that's good. We still got the magic, you know? But yeah.
Can I just think about something with me? Go on this journey with me right quick. Think about the process that a song has. It trips me out.
Mm-hmm.
Where you write the song, right? Where you record the song. Where the song is being consumed at. Whose ears it's falling on. And what they take away from the song. I don't know why, but I feel like that's low-key trippy for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It never existed, and then it exists, and then it lives on forever. I think that's the coolest part of
and that it touches someone.
Yeah. And we same thing, the VIPs and just meeting fans after shows kind of briefly. They'll give us this whole story about this one song and what it meant to them. And like they were driving home from being a nurse all day and then it got them home, or they were studying and that's all they listened to was the album. And it's like that was like the story of that portion of their life. And for us, we're just making this in a studio that's half the size of this room. You know what I mean? And it's crazy how many people it touches out there in the world. And you get to connect on social media, but meeting these people in person and them telling them face to face is like, it really takes to that level where it's like, wow, we're doing something really cool here.
Yeah,
So.
I think that, and that's once again a brand new thing, I think, for us. Like, you bring up the nurse story. I know exactly who you're talking about. That one really stuck with me. There was another one of this couple, they started dating, and he sent her, borrow your time. And that was the moment that she knew that she was in love with him. And they have this whole thing with the song. And I'm like, wow, it is really bizarre because we go in that day. Most of our songs we write in one day, and we sort of leave with a song. And you even bringing that up, it's like, yeah, not that we take it for granted, but it's sort of a well-oiled machine now that even breaking it down like that is like, oh, that is kind of trippy.
It is trippy.
Yeah.
And there's so many songs that don't exist because they were written and then they just stayed that way, you know? And I think about that a lot too. Like, what could we pull from our arsenal of like unreleased songs and that would change someone's life? And there's probably, you know, a good handful in there.
With some
just
other
never lived.
stuff that's probably not as good. But.
Yeah, true.
I just think it's really interesting how a song will touch someone, and it's not even touching them on the way how you intended on them, or if the song even had that intent anyway. Like, you just put the song out there because of how you're feeling that day, and the fact that somebody takes away what they take away from that song, like, that would blow my mind as an artist.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like for a song to end up being somebody's like wedding song, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that would be like, wow.
We've certainly had that. We've had wedding songs. I think tattoos is a new thing for us too. Like, tattooing lyrics and showing us at these shows. I'm like,
we've had a fan like straight up ask us to write a whole like favorite lyric, and we wrote a little, basically like a section of a song each, completely on their back, just our lyrics. It's like, that's commitment.
Yeah, there's
that
a photo
is commitment.
of us like this.
You know? Like, whoa.
I always want to get this life is more than just a read through. right here. Just, I don't know why. It's my favorite line from that song. But I get it. I get it. Like how lyrics connect with people.
100%.
Do me a favor and tell me about Infinitely Falling.
So that was I guess the priority track that came out with the album.
Right. We
wrote that with one of our best friends, Derek Furman, who we've done some pretty big, I don't want to say big songs of ours, but our bigger songs with. That song in particular, we were talking about the process before, but I had an idea to write a song called Infinitely Falling, sort of that. I brought it in to the room with Slavo and Derek, and I said, I want to write a song that is like the coolest version of a wedding song. Because that's sort of my headspace right now. That's my life. We're both growing up. We're getting older. And we pretty much wrote it that day. We made a couple revisions after, but I mean, there's so many things about the song that make it probably one of my favorites we've ever done. The video, there's so many things. What would you add to that, I guess?
I mean, I think the song lyrically, there's a lot of cool little moments in it. I think one of my favorite lyrics probably on the whole album is, "You sweep the floor beneath me and I'm falling, I'm infinitely falling." I think that's such a cool visual, just like to let yourself go, and this person does that for you. And the song really feels that way, and it's super simple, super catchy. I think that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, like really earworm pop hooks. And we accomplish that with this song. And it's kind of not the easiest thing to do. Like I said, we have a lot of songs that, you know, just kind of sit in the hard drive, and this is one of those where we finished it that day and we both looked at each other and was like, this is going to be probably one of the better ones on the album. So,
and also I'll just say, a lyric like "heavy like a landslide," that's the way my heart feels now. I'm a sucker for sort of negative connotations in like a positive song. And I think that song really does it. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want a love song to just be positive. It's love is terrifying. And I think that song, we really unlocked that, and sort of, what is it called? Lightning in a bottle, I guess, where like the song is beautiful, but it really describes like this whole process is so nerve-wracking to feel like there's nothing there's no ground to hit you. You're just infinitely falling for someone, and you don't know if they're going to, leave. There's so many ongoing questions, but that's the song. And then the video, without talking your ear off too much.
No, go.
I
would have been wrapped you up if I was bored.
Okay, please, at any point. We were wrapping up the album before the tour, and Slavo and I direct all of our music videos. We're very obsessed with that portion, and Slavo edits them as well. But we had like the tough conversation of, I think we have too much on our plate. For the first time, I think we need to work with other directors.
Was that hard?
I think one of the hardest things in our career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the back and forth of working with someone on something that's like creative and that we care so much about. It's always going to be hard.
With a song that means so much.
Right.
Too.
Well, my thing is like
Yeah.
giving up control to someone else because
Yeah.
it's your baby, and now all of a sudden you want somebody else to watch your baby who's never watched kids before.
Yeah.
Which
I
would
love
drive
that
me insane.
analogy.
Right. Which
Yeah.
would drive me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say that we had to check ourselves. I think we checked each other a couple of times. We were like, I want them to do that. And like, whoa, we're sort of paying them, you know, we're our own label. We're independent artists. We're paying them for their brain, you know? So with that being said, Slavo was wrapping up one of the other songs on the album, and I was touching base with a lot of directors.
Mm-hmm.
I had some calls with bigger directors, and none of them really excited me. And then there was a director duo that I didn't know were based and from the Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
currently amidst the war zone. And we set up a call with them, and they got on. They said, sometimes we lose the power because we're in the Ukraine right now. And I was like, how is this video going to work? And we fell in love with their vision. We fell in love with their passion. And we filmed the video in the Ukraine, which we had the Ukrainian ballet company in it. We had two amazing, beautiful leads. And it was the weirdest thing being delivered this video. And why am I forgetting her name? That's terrible. What's one half of the duo's name? Begins with an A.
Aliona.
Aliona.
Oh, like you're asking the wrong person.
Aliona sent a message to us after they delivered the video and we approved it. And she said, isn't this crazy? You sent us your song. You inspired us. And now we're sending something back to you and you're inspired. And I was like, when you put it that way, it was pretty cool. Because it blew us away.
They did a great job. Yeah.
It's a movie. And in a place where, as they described to us, people are so hungry to create art right now. In a place where there's not really a lot of that inspiration, which I also think was why we were able to, full disclosure in our budgets, able to shoot something that, appeared to be movie-like,
Creativity is something else.
It's quite bizarre, and that process was really bizarre because you also had a little bit of a language barrier.
Mhm.
There was just a lot of just interesting moments and a lot of growing up in this project that took place during that. Yeah,
But you guys met in the middle and got it done.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
big
sure.
time.
Both parts. What are you guys working on next?
Great question. We just said, well, we're going to have a meeting with our manager over here tonight to talk about life and where we're at. And then
Has he brought you any good ideas yet?
I don't know, have you?
Take out your notepad. I think we're discussing. We already have sessions this month booked to write the next project, which is very much like us to get right
Don't
back
even
into it.
skip a beat. I was just about
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
just like tour, writing, back in the studio.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because this album, we essentially released a single a month, and that's kind of been our process for the past 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And as much as we want to get back on that train and do it again and get right back to it, I feel like for the first time after this 2 years, whatever it's been that we've done that, I think we probably should take a second and figure out something that keeps it fresh for us and keeps it exciting, because I feel like we can get stuck in a cycle. And we've talked about this before, where just releasing a song a month, you kind of like, I don't know, it gets a little mundane. We had to find ways to spice it up. And I think
Becomes a chore.
yeah,
100%.
and it's like, I don't know. I feel like for us too, we like to collaborate a lot in this project. We didn't do that, so that's probably where we're headed, to be honest. And yeah, any way we can make it more exciting for us is kind of our goal.
I think that's the big teaser now. I think that's what we're talking about, because this album, we proved to ourselves we didn't need a feature or anything for it to get the eyes and ears it did. And now we're like, okay, now let's get in the room with some, super awesome artists that maybe some we look up to, maybe some that we've been friends with for a long time, and maybe, work on some really cool collaborations.
And we want it to be eclectic too. We've always prided ourselves on, even this album from start to finish, not every song sounds exactly the same. So we want to genre blend, do whatever we can to make it, like, wow, they did that this time. That's pretty cool.
And fun for us.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Come on, just taking a breath. Just breathe.
Yeah.
Woosah.
Yeah.
Well, he hit me up yesterday. He said we had the last show Sunday, right?
Yeah.
He goes, "Yo, take tomorrow off. It'll be nice." I'm like, "Oh, that was really sweet." He's like, "Then Tuesday we're back." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, like take a breath.
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, I really thought I was gonna get like the week
took a
off,
breath
maybe. I don't know."
yesterday. Yeah.
Take a breath. Focus on what happened.
Yeah.
Focus on a successful tour.
Appreciate
Reminisce on that.
Yeah.
And then start fresh in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, if you're not living, how you gonna find stuff to write about?
That's a very good point.
It's
Yeah.
true. That's why I sit on the
All
couch
day.
Yeah, I was about
all
to
day
say.
and I watch TV. I'm like, what is everyone talking about these days?
Well, I think that's also healthy too.
Yeah.
Like when you're a creative, you need to walk away from it
Mhm.
to be able to come back to it.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but
I think I should be a therapist.
Yeah.
you could
This
just
is
be,
nice.
you could
Are you
just
gonna
be our
bill us?
therapist. Yeah, I was about to
You
say.
have good insurance?
It's nope. We're artists.
Never mind. Get out.
I love it,
Guys, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Likewise.
Thank you.